Hey everybody, Ruan here from Tunnel Vision TV, and today I'm going to show you guys how to do some awesome depth of field in 3ds Max. So first of all, I've set up a very basic scene here, just 3 teapots and a plane, and I'm also using Vray for this tutorial. So I've got a Vray light, very basic stuff, and then I've also added some basic Vray materials to the teapots and also to the plane. If you look at these very simple stuff, I've added a little bit of reflection to each of these objects just to make it look a little bit better. Okay, so in order to create some depth of field, we need to add a Vray Physical camera to the scene. So I'm going to go to cameras, and I'm going to go to Vray, click on Vray Physical camera, and then just drag in a camera like that. Okay, so it's going to create a Vray camera. And the easiest way to position your camera is if you right click on perspective, go to cameras, look through that camera, and then use the truck camera, the little handy at the bottom, just to pan the camera around, and also the orbit tool just to position your camera like that. And then we're going to go back to perspective view and just go to the side so we can kind of see the camera and the scene and all the objects and all of those awesome stuff. So what we need to do is, if you click on this camera and you click on the modify panel, you should see all the camera settings. So for this tutorial I'm going to use still camera because I'm familiar with a DSLR camera. And then what you want to do is, I'm going to bring the f-stop, that's your aperture, I'm going to make it wide open, so I'm going to set it to 0.8. So you can just type in 0.8 there, and you'll see it's going to just make your focus area very shallow, and that's what we want. We want to create a very shallow depth of field using a very large aperture. Right, so next up what you want to do is you want to specify the focus. So you click that, and then you can actually play with the focus distance, and that will tell you where the camera is going to focus. So we're going to try and set the middle plane of that focus onto the red teapot, because we want to have the red teapot in focus and the blue and the green one out of focus. Okay, so just play with that focus distance until you have it in the right position where you want to create your focus point, and that's basically that. Then we're going to come down to sampling, and we're going to enable, very important, you need to enable depth of field right here, so just tick that. And your subdivisions, for now 6 is fine just to test it, and then once we happy with the results we can up that to 32 to get a better quality depth of field. So yeah, let's do a quick test render. So I'm going to look through the camera. So we're going to change this to Vray camera. Go to render setup, just make sure we're on Vray. That's it. And for now I'm just going to use a very low resolution, 480 by 270, and I'm going to click render. Let's see what we get. So if I make this a little bit bigger, we can see we're getting some out of focus things going on here, some little bit of blur that looks in focus. It's very low quality, so it's kind of difficult to see, but it's a little bit overexposed, so I'm just going to try and fix that quickly. So I'm going to go to our list selection and select the Vray Physical camera, and what I want to do, because it's overexposed, I don't really want to change the aperture, because that we can fix the exposure with the aperture, but I want to leave that because we want that shallow depth of field. So what I'm going to change is the shutter speed. So currently the shutter speed is at 200. Let's make that 800, and let's do a quick render again. Okay, so exposure is looking better. So let's try and render a better resolution. So I'm going to make this 1280 by 720. Before I render that, I just want to change the subdivisions for the depth of field sampling. Let's change it to 16. Usually when I do a final render, I'll put it on 32 or even 64. So 16 should be fine for this test. Alright, so there we go. As you can see, the red teapot is nice and focused. The green one is out of focus, blue one is also out of focus. So it's a nice shallow depth of field, looks pretty good. And the best way is just to play with the settings, play with the aperture. The smaller you make the aperture, the smaller the number, the larger the aperture, the more shallow the depth of field will be. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please click on the subscribe button, it really helps a lot, and you can also give me a thumbs up if you like this video. See you guys next time.